Skip, let's start with you. You have some new thoughts on Mahomes' performance.
Unfortunately, I do. I'm sorry to bring such attention to this, but...
You ain't finna rain on my parade.
I'm gonna rain. I'm reading all these articles. I got one right here. I'm gonna read you the headline.
What do they say?
How Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes authored his greatest comeback. Greatest comeback. I'm lost. The harder I look at Patrick Mahomes' performance in this Super Bowl, the less impressive it gets. Yes, I will give you this. 13 of 14 in the second half with a throwaway, which gave him the one incomplete, right? But wait a second. It was for a grand total of 93 yards in the second half. So he went from dazzling us with his rocket arm to dinking and dunking throughout the second half.
That's what he took.
His longest completion was 14 yards in the second half.
Okay.
His longest for the entire football game was 22, which was in the first quarter to Kelsey in obviously the first half. And I'm thinking, now, wait a second. He didn't exactly set the desert night on fire with his rocket arm on this occasion, right? And I first guessed this. I told you that going into the game, the Eagles' defense is a flawed liability. That Eagles defense gave up 40 to Dak Prescott on Christmas Eve at Dallas. 40 points. And I said, I don't trust it at all. However much Patrick has the ball, he should do damage every time he has the ball. And he did a lot of dink and dunk damage in the second half. And I do give you this. He did not make one mistake. And I have questioned him time and time again for trying too many globetrotter trick passes. And he tried one in the first half that almost got intercepted, but that was the only one he tried for the whole game. So I give him high marks for that. But just for comparison, and I'm not trying to bring Brady back into the equation and rain on Patrick's parade, but just look at what Tom Brady did. He played 10 Super Bowls. And in those 10 Super Bowls, in the fourth quarters alone, just in the fourth quarters of all 10, he averaged 89 yards passing in the fourth quarter.
Right.
Well, that got pulled back down by his last Super Bowl, in which he beat Mahomes 31-9. He only had to throw for 6 yards in that one, so that hurt his average. So if we take that 6 yards out, he almost threw for 100 yards average in his first 9 Super Bowls in the fourth quarter.
Right.
Patrick threw for 93 in the third and fourth quarter, in the second half. Wait a second. So Brady averaged 97 in the first 10, and Patrick threw for 93 in the second half. It's not that impressive to me. And the 2 touchdown passes he threw in the second half both came on busted coverages where they just tricked him with motion.
Yes.
And it was beautiful to watch, but I can't give Patrick high marks for these 2. If we can see the 2 touchdown passes back to back. I think we have one, and then the second one got set up by the 65-yard punt return. But the first one is to Kadarius Toney, and it's just a trick shot where he starts to go in motion, and they go across, and here comes the. Remember, you benefit from the longest punt return in Super Bowl history. Well, this doesn't go on Patrick's totals, and I can't give him credit for this. So he runs it all the way down to the 5, and that sets up the second touchdown pass to Sky Moore, and they trick him again.
Yes.
Look, there's nobody left over there. So I'm like, I'm not sure I'm seeing what the issue was. So let me finish.
Okay.
So there's no pressure on Patrick to hold it. And I first guessed this going in the game. His offensive line was simply the best in football. All year long, they won. They were number 1 in pass block win rate, and they did it again to the vaunted Eagles pass rush. They didn't touch him. They didn't sack him. And on the biggest play in question, Sweat does make him sweat a little bit and made him throw the ball a little quicker than he wanted to. And now we're down to the final play, and I thought it was a phantom penalty. Our man Greg Olsen didn't like the flag. Your man LeBron James did not like the flag thrown. We could fight all day about this. I wouldn't have thrown the flag on this because he touched him with his right hand, but I don't see a fistful of jersey. I don't see a jersey grab. He touched him in the front, and he touched him in the back. I don't think he impeded. I don't think he restricted. And Juju escapes cleanly, but Patrick is basically just throwing the ball away, and it's uncatchable.
I think the thing is, Skip, is that for me, having caught the ball for a living, ask any receiver how much a little tug impedes you. Ask any receiver.
Okay.
And Greg Olsen should know because he played the position where they tugging and fighting and understand just how much that little tug impedes you and throws your timing off from getting to where you want it to be. Skip, I think the thing
is it a tug? I don't see a tug. I don't see a fist grab. I don't see a jersey tug.
You want to see it, Skip. But the really good ones, they know all the tricks of the detail. Skip, I can't get caught with my hand in the cookie jar.
Yep.
You just got to know one of the cookies are gone and somebody took it. So I've got to do something out of the sight. But the back judge is right there. The problem is, Skip, his right hand is in plain view of the back judge that's looking who threw the flag. Maybe he'd have been better if it was his left hand. But now he's worried about the side judge that's right there being able to see it.
Okay. He touched him with his right hand and he touched him with his left hand on his back hip. Okay. I get that. I don't see impeded, restricted.
But it's just the slightest. But Skip, the difference between Sunday and you compared it to Brady, but Brady had that 200-plus yard game that he had against Atlanta in the fourth quarter. But if you look at the Atlanta second half possessions, they did something. They had a lot of 3-and-outs and a fumble. They did something for to help the Patriots, something that the Eagles didn't do for Patrick Mahomes. Okay, the Falcons' second half possessions, they went a 3-and-out and took less than 2 minutes off the clock. They got a touchdown at 4 minutes.
We're doing Falcons-Patriots. Okay,
Falcons-Patriots. Because we're talking about, big come from behind victories.
I got it.
So you get 1, 2, 3 punts. I'm not counting the last one with 50-something seconds, Skip.
Okay.
So I'm going to say, even though that was 4 plays, 54 seconds, I'm not going to count that one. So they had 1, 2, 3 punts in the second half with a fumble in 3 plays. The Eagles go 17 plays, time of possession, field goal. 3-and-out, less than 2 minutes. 8 plays, 4:07, end of the game. You see, they did something that the Falcons didn't do, which was eat clock. Skip, they had 25 plays, so they had 28 plays in 3 drives. 28 plays. The Falcons had 1, 11, 14, 17, 23. They had 27 plays the second half. The Eagles had 28 plays, Skip. They had 28 plays in 4 drives, in 3 drives.
Okay, I got it. But remember, in that game, you can argue that defense wasn't very good either. It was way overrated, the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah.
But Brady throws for 246 just in the fourth quarter and the overtime.
Right.
Well, it's hard to fault that, and you come back from 28 to 3 down.
But also, Skip, and the same thing happened. Brady threw a pick 6. They were doing a great job of getting. See, the thing was, the Patriots weren't eating time of possession in the first quarter, so in the first half, like the Eagles were, because they were snapping the ball. Every single snap was under 5 seconds. Some of it, Skip, there was 2 seconds, 1 second. They got to delay a game one time because they were like, we've got to possess the ball. We want to minimize Patrick Mahomes when he do get on the field.
Well, I first guessed that. I said it's the only way to beat him.
But I said, well, you better be good. You better be able to get him on the ground because he's not going to need a whole lot of time. The offense from the Chiefs, what we've known to love about Patrick Mahomes, Skip, it used to, when he had Tyreek, Skip, they could hit you from 70 or 80 in the blink of an eye.
All right.
They can't do that anymore. So they have to nickel and dime you. They have to dink and dunk. And think about it. MVS, the guy that had a career game in the championship game, didn't catch a pass.
He threw him one in the first half, and they were on the wrong page because it looked like he was open, and Patrick went way back shoulder left, and the ball just hits the turf because nobody's home.
I think what happens, Skip, is that he lines up tight. Patrick is saying, okay, you lined up tight, but I need you to get width because he's throwing it like a go ball, which is normally in the West Coast offense is 42 and 4. 42 yards deep, 4 yards from the sideline.
Yep.
So I'm expecting, Skip, I don't care where you lined up at, but I need you to get to that point.
Okay,
so
I got it.
And so Skip, I think when you look at Patrick Mahomes and you look at what he had to do, Skip, touchdown, 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 field goal. Skip, any drive that doesn't result in a touchdown, they lose the game.
Okay. Little known fact. In the second half of that Super Bowl the other night, the Kansas City Chiefs ran for 119 yards. Patrick added to that total with the last big run.
Right.
But 119, and I first guessed this. I told you Pacheco would be the best running back on the field, and he just was.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with Sanders, though, Skip.
I don't know.
Sanders was good, Skip. He was good all year.
He's a Pro Bowler.
Yes.
I never loved him. I never, when I am against them, he doesn't strike fear in my heart We've had him on the show. He's a great kid.
Right.
But I don't know if he's a big-time back. Gainwell kind of preempted him a little bit, started to beat him out a little bit. Okay?
But and not to cut you off, Skip, but when you look at what Mahomes did, can you make a case right now come playoffs? He's a top 5 quarterback come playoffs as far as come from behind. Okay, you like, obviously, Brady's resume speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Joe Montana,
Yeah.
John Elway, because we've seen the drive. We've seen him author a lot of comebacks in the playoffs. So Tom, Joe, Peyton, Brady, Mahomes. How can Mahomes give and Skip come from the 2 Super Bowls in which he's come from 10 points down in the second half?
Okay, I give you that. Now back to Jalen Hurts. I told you, I can't remember a better, certainly for a first-timer in this game,
he
a
was
better
sensational.
losing quarterback performance. And what just rips my heart out, and the more I thought about it last night, there's one turnover in this game, and it's created by Jalen Hurts on himself. He self-destructs. He loses the handle, if we could see this play.
It's freaky.
He's switching hands, and he loses his grip on the football, and he gets double jeopardied because it bounces right to Bolton. And it could have bounced anywhere. It could have bounced to an Eagle. Instead, I lost the football.
And the thing is, Skip, look at it's not like a kicking ball, Skip, because you know those kickers' ball, they're real shiny. There's no glaze on that ball, so I'm just trying. It was so freaky that it happened.
But it felt like they were on the move to go up 21-7.
Yes.
And then you're thinking, we're in big trouble now, because he seems like he's unstoppable. And all of a sudden, it goes from 21-7 potentially to 14-all.
Right.
Well, now we got a football game.
Well, yeah, and what you've done is that you've taken points off your end and you've allowed them, because what you've tried to do, Skip, is right. By bleeding the clock down to under 5, you said we're minimizing Patrick Mahomes' opportunities and minimizing their opportunity to get points. Well, with Patrick Mahomes on the sideline, they got a tub.
Yep.
And you can't have that.
Okay.
And they did a great job, Skip. I mean, they got points. I mean, they got touchdown. It wasn't like they kicked a whole bunch of field goals. I can see if they got in the red zone and they kicked field goal after field goal, you know that's going to come back and bite you, Jalen. You know, he didn't do that.
Now, for the biggest turning point in the game for the Eagles, it comes with 6:19 left in the third quarter. Jalen throws a beautiful back football to Quez Watkins, who's their weakest link, and he's clearly their third best, really their fourth best receiver, and he's nothing but a deep threat, and Jalen hits him right in the hands. If he catches the football, they're at least first and goal at the 5, and I'm pretty sure, especially with their quarterback sneak machine that they have, I'm pretty sure they're going to get it in the end zone from the 5-yard line. And if you do, you go up mid-third quarter, you go up 10. Well, I think you got a shot at hanging on to 10, but instead, they couldn't cash.
Right.
So they wind up -4 points because they only get 3. Well, now if you're -4 and the Eagles defense has no chance of stopping Patrick Mahomes and the running game, 119 yards in the second half, 158 for the game.
Right.
Well, you can't leave 4 points on the table and hope to win the game, and they lost by 3.
They did, Skip, but I think you mentioned that Pacheco, with his ability to run the football, obviously you can't give it to the entire offensive line, but they might have been the MVP. That might have been the most dominant performance that we've seen by an offensive line, to open holes like they did for the running game, and to keep, even though he was pressured. Now, a lot of times Patrick Mahomes got out of the pressure because I think they pressured him like 31% of the time. They just didn't get him on the ground. And it was Patrick Mahomes' ability to dip here and to slide there and to get out of harm's way and throw the ball. But they did an excellent...
You know what he has in him? He's got Roethlisberger in him because he's bigger than you think he is. He's a full 6'3", and I think he goes 240-ish.
Okay, yeah.
And he plays strong. He stands strong in the pocket. He moves strong. It's hard. One hand will not rip him to the ground, right?
No. And I think the thing is, Skip, is that when you play with a guy like that, me playing with John Elway for the number of years that I played, you never feel you're out of the game. And, you know, Andy was talking about how he's hobbling around in the locker room saying, hey, we're right there. We're right there, guys. We come out and make a play. And, Skip, the most important drive when you're down to start the second half is what? The opening possession when you get the ball. They took the ball right down the field because the Eagles say if we get a stop, get off the field, now we get our offense back on the field and we're still up 10. They took the ball out of the half, go right down the field, and the Eagles had to be thinking,
Okay, I got it. I'm going to give Patrick Mahomes one big red check mark, like a plus. And that was that first throw for the touchdown to Kelsey, the first touchdown that tied it at 7. If we could see this, this is sweet. This is a big-time Super Bowl throw, and I thought I was going to see several more of these. He's got to go right over the top of the DB to Kelsey, and they love each other, and they're on the biggest rapport wavelength you'll ever find between a quarterback and a receiver. But that's a big-time throw where you have to drop it over the DB.
Yeah.
And he did.
He did.
So that's what I'm used to him doing. Well, that was the last one of those. That was an 18-yarder.
Right.
Then he had if we could show it real quick, the 22-yarder to Kelsey
To start the game, right?
Quarter. It's early.
Yeah.
And this is
On the basic cross.
This is his longest completion of the game.
That's it. Yep. Oh yeah, that was like a sail. That was like a sail right. Well, he's running like a 7.
Yep.
He started like they think he's going to run the far cross, and then he makes back.
All right, and that's it. That's 22. So when I look at 182 total yards passing, I can't say this is an extraordinary all-time Super Bowl performance. He won, and he played clean football, and I love it that he played clean because you better play clean or you're going to lose this game.
Right, because the possessions, because you see how much they're eating clock.
Yep.
I think the thing is, Skip, is that sometimes Patrick Mahomes has set the bar so high for himself that if he doesn't throw for 350 or 400, we don't think he played well.
Yeah.
We've seen him play well. We've seen him throw for 300, 400 yards and lose. You remember the game out here, Skip, I think it was at the Coliseum when they played the Rams and he threw for damn near 500?
Oh,
but he had
it was at the Coliseum.
Yeah, but he had the turnovers.
And Jared Goff beat him.
Yes. Sunday night required him to throw for less than 200, but he had to be perfect in the process of doing it. One turnover, they're not winning that game.
I agree. And there was only one turnover in the whole game, and unfortunately, Jalen Hurts marred his performance. He shot himself in the foot with one turnover, and that's the turning point.
Yeah, because Skip, all turnovers aren't created equal. Tom Brady throws a pick 6 in the first half.
Yep.
Matt Ryan fumbles in the third quarter or gives them a short field.
It did.
That flipped the momentum.
Totally. Agreed.
So for Patrick to only have 100, it just goes to show you that he can beat you in so many ways. It's not always a 300, 400-yard game in which gets you. It's the 13 or 14. It's the 93 yards, but it's the methodical, the way he methodically matriculated the ball down the field. Okay, 5 here, 4 there. Here, Juju, get this first down here.
Yep.
Block. And that's what it took, Skip. One turnover. If they don't score on any drive, Skip, if they go one possession and don't score, the Eagles are winning that Super Bowl.
That is true.
Turnover takeaway ratio, always crucial, gentlemen. All right, let's go back to the hardwood. Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Subscribe here to get the very latest from Skip and Shannon. Plus, go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.